Hello, race fans. Welcome to the 24th episode of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, brought to you weekly by Creekside Entertainment, Penyan Electronics, Race Chaser Online, and Speed 77 Radio. Clint Miller and Steve Ovens here with you. One day after Clint, what was just a phenomenal trip down to Middletown, New York.
Man, it was awesome. It was really cool. Take a check off the bucket list.
Yes, sir.
You couldn't ask for a better day.
No, I got the sunburn to prove it.
Yes, you do have a sunburn to prove it. It was 60 degrees, not a cloud in the sky anywhere. The track is really a configuration. The track was really hard, so hard that it crumbled apart. We couldn't see that from where we were sitting. But, oh, man.
We knew something was happening because those restarts, whoever was on the outside, and really the track breaking up was more on the inside, but I imagine that inside row moved up, which then put the outside row out in the marbles, and just an incredible event. Brett Dale, hands together for Brett Dale, because what a show. And what a way to kick off the Short Track Super Series.
Oh, man. Yeah. And it was really nice to meet him.
Absolutely.
For him to take a few seconds out to come say hi to us.
59 modifieds.
37 sports.
37. And then what you have to factor into that, that's a great field. But you also have to factor in Big Diamond canceled on Friday night. Their Money in the Mountains show. And they had to run yesterday on top of 5 Mile Point also running, which I think would have played more a factor with the fans than maybe the race cars. Now, the sportsman guys, whether you're running, Race of Champions sportsman or you're running the Grit Series, that kind of, might have divided the clan a little bit.
Well, just look at the names that were at New Egypt instead of coming down to Orange County that probably would have been there had New Egypt
Big Diamond
had got their racing on Friday.
Yep.
Ryan Godown, Matt Shepard, Pat Ward,
all of the gypsum cars,
Frank Cozy. There's probably 15 more cars that were at Big Diamond.
Yep.
that would have been at OCFS.
But nonetheless, still a fantastic show. Again, hats off to Brett and his crew. That really gives that series a lot of momentum heading into their next event, which is May 20th at Thunder Mountain. And we're excited to be a part of that show. We're going to be sponsoring the Hard Charger Award for the Sportsmen that night. Now, as I remember, that's not a Grit Series sportsman show. It's an open sportsman show. But, we're excited to have a small part in that event. We sponsored Lap 5 in memory of Jack Christensen, and we are sponsoring the Hard Charger Award at Thunder Mountain in memory of Doug Madison, who never lost a practice session over at Canandaigua, or at Dundee Raceway for that matter. And speaking of, Dundee Raceway, Black Rock Speedway,
Yates County Speedway,
we now have a new name, Yates County Speedway, in an announcement last week. Of course, the announcement came the day after we recorded our show. And some of them we hit just right, and some of them we missed by a day. But Yates County Speedway is the new name over at our famed racetrack in Dundee. Excited about that. Another announcement broke on Sunday that the announcing staff has been announced. For the Yates County Speedway, and the one son of Dan Harpel, he'll be in the booth, like Dan had told us. What we didn't know yet was who was going to be the other gentleman or lady in the booth, and that is going to be a gentleman that I happen to know pretty well, Mr. Mel Thomas from Thomas Video, which also made news on Sunday, and that is that Thomas Video will be returning to the Yates County Speedway. So that's exciting, and having Mel in the booth. Mel's been calling races for a long, long, long time, and It was good to see him when he was over calling races over at Canandaigua Motorsports Park, and I'm real excited for Mel to be coming back to a place where he called races back in the 80s at a time when Dan Harpel was promoting races.
They have a history together for sure.
Yep. So that was good stuff. We've got good stuff here from Orange County. We've got, I want to say we have 13 different interviews from Orange County, including 4 of your top 5 finishers from the Hard Clay Open. We had heat race winners. We had guys that maybe didn't have the finish to the day they were looking for, but were strong nonetheless, and
very informative.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing I wanted to say is thank you to all those drivers who gave us great interviews. We couldn't have asked for a better day out there. Any driver we walked up to was more than willing to stop and give us a quick soundbite. And, you know, when you're new in this game, little things like that mean the world. And we met a lot of really great guys yesterday. So looking forward to doing that more as time goes on. We're looking forward to covering more big shows. I've already got some ideas kind of going through my mind about what to do for opening night over at the Yates County Speedway, so we're going to get to work on that. And
I'll be dirty.
I know you'll be dirty, and but it's going to be fun to have an opportunity to go over and provide this kind of not service, but kind of like this kind of coverage to our local guys who, you know, don't have the opportunity to get on a show or on the radio or whatever.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what we did this for. I mean, to give people to be able to listen and hear what the drivers are thinking, what they want to do. You know, WFLR years ago tried to do that, but they didn't have a lot of driver interviews. They were mostly race results. And, you know, so we're kind of expanding that a little bit.
We want to get a good mix. We want to get a good mix of both. And when we tell you that, you know, Jared Hill gets his second or third late model win, we want to be able to say, yeah, we know that Jared won, but here's an interview with Jared after he got out of the car, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so.
and please, folks, you know, pay attention to our Facebook page. We had live video updates, you know, 2 or 3 times yesterday while we were down to Orange County, giving you speed shots and the start of the race and the 4 wide parade lap. And, you know, we try to do this for you guys because we love it and we want you to love it too.
Yeah. And I'm sure anybody that was watching that coverage kind of figured out that we kind of like this racing gig a little bit because we were all over it yesterday. And when we come back from commercial break, we are going to dive into our breakdown of the Hard Clay Open out at OCFS.
You're listening
to Turn 5. Penn Yan Electronics is the official Radio Shack dealer of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They're also the only Radio Shack dealer in the Penn Yan area. Visit them at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan for all of your electronics, cable, music, and cell phone needs. Visit Penn Yan Electronics or give them a call, 315-536-7700. Penn Yan Electronics. RaceChaserOnline.com is your home for news, views, and driver interviews. You can catch everything from F1 to IndyCar, NASCAR, short track, and dirt car. You can also find them on Speed 77 Radio Mondays on Shoutcast. Catch Motorsports Madness live at 7 p.m. and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report Thursdays at 7 p.m. Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. If you need karaoke for your bar or party, or if you need the photo booth to create memories that'll last a lifetime, give Stu a call at 315-481-9700, or you can find him on Facebook, search Creekside Entertainment, or find him on the World Wide Web, www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com.
Your dirt track home for news, discussion, and driver interviews along with race results. You're listening to Turn 5.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. you just heard all those great messages from all of our good folks that help support the show here on Turn 5. Those folks are Creekside Entertainment, Race Chaser Online, Speed 77 Radio, and Clint. We can hear each other talk now thanks to our good buddy Jim down at Penn Yan Electronics.
Yep, hooked us up with some new headphones. Go down and see Jim.
Yeah, go down and see Jim. He's a great guy. We send a show off to him every week, and he seems to enjoy the presence, and we surely enjoy his presence on the show. Let's dive into Hard Clay Open, Clint. And as we said in the last segment, 59 modifieds pulled into OCFS to take part in Race 1 of the Short Track Super Series. As a reminder, they were qualifying by passing points, and that was something that threw a lot of guys for a loop because these guys are not used to passing points, how it works, how it's structured. They were handing out charts as the guys came in. You know, they had a bag with all the decals that needed to be on the car, and a big piece of paper was that chart.
You know, it was really cool because we talked to a couple different drivers, even people we talked to off out of not that we didn't interview off the air, that they were really excited with Brett giving this a shot. You know, because nobody likes time trials, nobody likes drawing 100 and having to start last when you have these good of fields. So you give the guy that starts 10th in his heat a chance to make the main by passing a lot of cars in his heat, because they started 10 in the heat and 3 qualified. 2 went to the redraw, 3 qualified. So for a guy to start 10th to finish 3rd in a 10-lap race is really tough to do on a big track like that.
That it is. And we talked to a couple of guys pre-race to kind of see where they were at as far as what combination they brought, what they thought about passing points, what they thought about sail panels. 2 guys that we talked to were J.R. Hefner, and then we also caught up with the young hot shoe who made a lot of noise at the Gobbler last year, winning the event, and made a lot of noise down in Florida, Anthony Perego, who was in his New York Truck Parts 55. We caught up with both of those guys pre-race, and now we're going to let you hear what they had to say. Pit side here at the Orange County Fair Speedway for the Hard Clay Open, talking with J.R. Hefner. And J.R., we've seen some guys that started out the day without sail panels, and now we see they're quickly changing to the sail panels. You can tell us a little bit about that.
I'm probably not a real good one to ask. Sail panels on these type cars make you tight on entry, but they do help pick up corner speed. So if you can get your car to turn with the sail panels on the entry, it's definitely going to be an advantage for you.
How's it going so far for you guys here on the 74 car?
I think we're pretty good. The A. Colarusso & Son 74 is feeling pretty good. It's a little tight right now, as we just spoke about the sail panels, and I'm trying to get a happy medium there. And we'll put 10 laps on it here in our heat race and see how we shake out.
And qualifying going to be with the passing points. Any comment on running with passing points today?
It's something to take a look at. I mean, I honor these guys for taking a stab at it, because these big shows where you know you're going to have a big car count, a lot of guys won't bother because of the odds of getting up to, say, a second or third is not real good.
Yeah. All right, well, that's J.R. Hefner. These guys are getting ready for their heat race, and we'll see how things shake out today. Pit side again here at Orange County. We're going to speak to the driver of the New York Truck Parts 55, Anthony Perego. And I got to tell you, between the Gobbler and your runs down there in Florida, got to be confident coming into the 2014 season.
Yeah, definitely. We ended the year out pretty good there at the end of last season, and then starting off in Florida, and we were fast time in practice, then second the first night, and we had all top 10, so I was pretty surprised that I went out there with the big blocks and did as good as I did right out the get-go.
Yeah, now let's talk about today here at Orange County. Are you guys running big block, small block? What's your combination today?
We actually have our small block in today because we broke our motor down in New Egypt, so we got the small block here. You know, we're 2275, so I don't know. I think we got a pretty good chance when the sun comes out here and dries this place up pretty good for the future.
And that's definitely something that's going to play a role today, because there is not a cloud in the sky here at Orange County. Now let's talk. You guys had the engine trouble with the big block. If you'd had it available available, do you think that would have been the combination you came with?
I don't know. I think I still would have drove this car, because I think the small block, you watch Eastern States, Gary Edwards this year, he ran Eastern States with his small block, and he was rolling around the big blocks. He had, I think he ran about 15 laps. He started in the back, and he worked his way up to the top 5. So I think definitely with a small block here, you'll be able to roll around the outside, make some passes and see what happens.
And also, the big key today is the passing points for qualifying. Any comments on that?
I don't know. We started on the pole, and
okay.
So I guess just stay there, and then you have no worries.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, that's Anthony Perego. He's driving the 55 car today, and Clint, this is going to be a guy that we'll watch for the end of the day.
Yeah, you and I were talking earlier during hot laps, and we were watching Anthony, and we were talking amongst ourselves who had a small block, and we talked, well, maybe later in the day when it dries out, and you just heard him. I mean, he knows what he's doing, so I look forward to it. I look forward to watching him go to the front.
Thanks for your time, Anthony, and good luck today.
Thank you, guys.
All right. That's Anthony Perego in the 55 car. Going to be one we're going to keep our eye on today. And one to watch, he was, Clint. He was strong right out of the box, looked pretty good. I think we were watching him over there in turn 3 and 4 during hot laps, and just looked good. I mean, looked like they had the handle pretty good. And that was when we learned, okay, he's running the small block. Doesn't have the big block to fall on. I'm going to try and make the small block work. And I tell you, he almost did. He almost did. But
yeah, he was...
Without giving too much away.
Yeah, we can't divulge because we did talk to him, and we'll talk about the end of the race later. But he had a good, strong showing, and I really thought that, I was really pulling for him, actually.
Yeah, and we talked all day long about how that would shake out. And going into the heat races, had six big heats here for the Short Track Super Series Hard Clay Open. Heat 1, taken by Ryan Watt, strong run for him. He really wasn't challenged. Matt Billings came home second in the heat. Started to run him down, but then just kind of got to a point where they evened out. J.R. Hefner, who we had talked to, won heat number 2. Andy Bicchetti came home second. He'll be an important figure for later on when we discuss the feature. Heat number 3 was taken by Jeremy Markle. And what a story. I'm going to let him tell the story, but man, what a story for him to pick up the heat win. He'll tell us about that here in just a second. Heat number 4 was taken by Higfab, Jerry Higbee, in his number 97. Anthony Perego, who we talked to pre-race, took home the win in heat number 5. And rounding out heat number 6 was won by the 97T of Danny Tyler. And in a small block. In a small block. And we got to talk to Danny. We got to talk to Anthony Perego. And we got to talk to Higbee as well as Jeremy Markle. So let's get to those 4 interviews, and this all takes place after the heat races. Inside at Orange County, we had a chance to catch up with the winner of heat race number 1, Ryan Watt. Ryan, how was the car for you out there? What kind of combination did you guys bring?
We have a Troyer car here with Mars and Big Block in there. It felt right from warmest. I mean, I haven't been here since like 01. I ran one time. We came up, ran a heat, and then it rained, so we never got to finish it out, and I never came back. So it felt pretty good in warm-ups. Felt comfortable, and then the heat, I mean, we were just smooth. So the engine felt comfortable. Everything felt pretty good. So just got to find the right tire combination here for the future.
Yeah, that seems to be the talk of the pit area. We were talking to one of the other heat race winners that burned up a Hoosier in 10 laps. So that could be troublesome for the feature later on.
Yeah, we had American racers on in the heat, and they actually looked pretty good at the end, but not sure what combination we're going to do here in the feature.
All right. Well, that is Ryan Watt. He was the winner of heat race number 1, and let's talk to you real quick about the sail panels as well. Have you run with sail panels before?
Yeah, I mean, I used to race years ago back at East Windsor. They ran sail panels there, and I ran to Egypt a little bit to run sail panels. And Bridgeport, we don't run them, but they're actually going to have a race there midsummer. One of our regular point nights, they're going to throw sail panels on just for something different for the fans. So, sure. Which just kind of gives me a good idea of what it's going to be like at Bridgeport, on a big track. So it should be good. It should be interesting. To me, got to make the car a little different, make the car freer, and it seems to work so far. So.
All right. Well, good luck with the redraw, and good luck in the feature to you.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's Ryan Watt, driver of the 14W, and Clint, that seems to be the talk of the pit area right now, is trying to find that right tire combo. And this is the thing I love about this show, is big block, small block, American Racer, Hoosier, sail panels, no sail panels, just a really awesome deal here.
Yeah, well, just from the people that we've talked to, seems like American Racer may have a little better of a tire for this track surface. Track's really hard, it's getting black, rubbering up a little bit. We already heard somebody's going with extra hard for the feature. So, there's just so many different combinations. It's going to make this wild for the 50-lapper.
That it is. We're going to keep working around the pit area and see who else we can catch up with here at the hard clay. Pit side at Orange County, we've got one of our heat winners here, Jeremy Marco. And Jeremy, good run out there. Car looked good.
Yeah, it felt really good until the fuel line fell off, so then I was just holding on for dear life.
When did you know that happened?
When I started smelling fuel in the inside of the cockpit, and I was starting to get a little wet, yeah.
That's a pretty unnerving situation coming around the hard clay here.
Yeah, the car kept shutting off going into 1 and 2, and then I had to try to get it refired back up by the time I was coming out of 2, so.
That's amazing.
That's absolutely incredible. He still
melted a right rear tire, too. In the 10 laps, right rear tire gone.
Wow. Now, what kind of combination are you guys working with today? Big block, small block?
We have our big block here that we run here every week, but the only thing we did different, we put sail panels on it. But for the feature, we're going out with extra hards. These regular hards ain't going to hold up.
And, I mean, no cloud in the sky today. I mean, sun beating down on the track. It's going to be tough on tires and equipment.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough out there. Pull some gear and let's go racing.
Talk to us about the sail panels. How's that been so far?
They're all right. I don't notice a huge difference. I freed the car up and sail panels tighten it up. So, I mean, you can do it both ways. Take them off, leave them on. Just try something new. We got them sitting at the shop for 10 years, so.
There you go. All right, well, that's the winner of one of the heats here at the Hard Clay Open, and he's got himself into the redraw, and see where it shakes out. All
right, thanks.
All right, that's Jeremy Marco, driver of the 79. Unbelievable. He was able to finish that race with the fuel line coming apart.
Yeah, that's just crazy. I mean, with the heat that these cars are running through the motor and stuff, even just to not have a fire, let alone have the car shut off and refire it while you're going through the turns and walk away and win the heat. I'm just amazed.
Only way you'll find stuff like find out stuff like that is to be out here in the pits with these guys. So we're going to make our way around the pits and see who else we can find as far as heat winners go. Pit side here at Orange County. Caught up with the driver who won another heat race here at the Hard Clay Open, Danny Tyler. And Danny, how's the car? It looked real good. I know you guys running the small block package today. How's it out there?
It's good. We got a HFC chassis that Jerry Higbee builds, and nothing but good with the car. Really, really stepped up my game. We don't race a lot, so we don't know all these crazy shock packages. We're basic, racer. And with this car, the basic stuff works, and the small block's built by Morrison, and he really builds a good piece.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys up in our area that used to run the Morrison engines with the small blocks, and those have always been stout pieces. And Charlie Donk, and you think of other guys like that. Feature time, what are you expecting? You got guys going with either American Racers or Hoosiers, and you guys got the small block. You got the sail panels. Have you run with sail panels before?
Yeah, most of the races I've won has been on sail panels. A lot of the short track stuff that we do, Ackworth Speedway and 5 Mile, Penn Can, that's the races that we're more used to. So sail panels we like. I don't really race Hoosiers much, maybe 3 or 4 times. So we got American Racers on. I didn't really have a lot of money, so we bought some used tires off Bob McGannon and, chased down another guy for tires, and it paid off. But now since we're in, I think I should put a couple new tires on it.
Yeah.
She drew 3 too, so
that was going to be my next question, was where you drew. So
small block 3 is real good. So you can get it to roll through the corner better than these big block guys can. You can stay with them down the straightaway. I think you can make a big move through the corners.
Yeah, that's the way the track is. The straightaway's long, but everybody that I was watching before my heat was lifting at the flag stand. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of straightaway left, but the track, you know, it gets worse and worse as the night goes on. So, yeah, with small block, you know, we pulled a little bit of gear out of it, loaded with fuel, put a couple new slicks on it, and, you know, give it everything we got. But, you know, we're a little bit out of our league tonight, but, you know, the under guy wins every once in a while, too, so you never know.
And that's usually happens with these Brett Deo shows. But starting third, wish you a lot of luck, and thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, that's Danny Tyler. He's driving the 97T today in a small block ride. Starting third, we'll see what happens. We're pit side here at Orange County and talking weather here with Jerry Higbee, driver of the 97, and we certainly are happy the winter's over.
Yeah, you know what, like I think 2 weeks ago we had about a foot of snow still on the ground, so today it's like 60, 65, no wind, possible sunburn. It's a perfect day for racing.
You know, we were talking to Matt Billings, and he still has 2 feet of snow up there in Brockville. So let's talk about Hard Clay Open here. Took home the win in your heat race, into the redraw. Let's talk about Orange County. We got sail panels, passing points, big block versus small block, Hoosier versus American Racer. What are you guys looking at today?
Well, you know what, we're up against a lot today. Everybody's, you know, got a lot of wild things here. You know, my car's been a lot different with the sail panels, and I had American Racers on earlier. Now I'm back to the Hoosiers, and heat race we were pretty hard on the tires. It's a lot like an Eastern States racetrack, and you know, it's starting to take a little rubber, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful, but it's only 50 laps, so you know, you can't go soft. It's going to have to be either hard or an extra hard American Racer or Hoosier, so it's going to be interesting. The small block stuff I really didn't think would keep up that well, but then I look at the times, and Anthony Prego's got a small block, and he's the fastest car by far in the heat races, and then Danny Tyler's got a small block, and I think he was the second fastest in the heat races. So, you know, as long as you're not shutting them down, the small blocks are real good. But, you know, I like our chances today. My car feels real good. It's balanced real well, and can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that was one discussion we had going in today was how are the small blocks going to compete, and certainly looks like so far they've done okay. How do you think that would play out over the 50 laps?
Well, you know what? I think as long as I think it would be tough for a small block to go pull out and go buy a big block. You know, when you're in the middle of the straightaway here, and you know somebody's got a decent big block and a really good small block, that big block's going a lot faster down the straightaway. So sometimes on limited racetrack that we end up with in a feature here, it may be tough for a small block to pass. But you know what? If Little Prego's on the pole today, I bet the farm on him. So, you know, he ain't got to shut it down. He's going to be good. So, it's going to be exciting, and that's what Brett Deo tried to do, and that's what he's accomplishing today. And great crowd, great car count, good people. We got people from everywhere here, and it's the way it has to be. And you know what? Middletown needs this, so it's good for Middletown. It's good for the fans. Everybody come out in good weather and all that. So, you know, no matter how we do today, you know, I just want to come out of it one piece and hope for a top 5, top 3, and if I'm up front, get the win. And we'll see what happens.
You guys have had a busy winter. I know there's, I keep track of that HigFab Chassis web page, and you guys are pumping out car after car, and I see a lot of them here today.
Yeah, my girlfriend Sarah takes care of the Facebook page, and she does a top-notch job with it, and she just keeps updating. We're almost up to 100 cars in about 2 years, so it's been a phenomenal, you know, road to getting here, and it's fun. It's an adventure like any other business, and I love what I do. I love racing. I love the customers and the people, so I'm very happy with the way it's going.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's Jerry Higbee. He's driving the 97 today. Looking for good things out of the redraw. We'll see what happens, but remember, you heard it here first. If Prego's on the pole, bet the farm on him. You're listening to Race Chaser Online and Turn 5 Podcast. All right, catching up with the winner of heat race number 5, Anthony Prego. And Anthony, I guess the small block setup worked out okay.
Yeah, Gary, man, he gives me a great car here. You know, the motors are just stout, and track came to us there at the end. You know, we were in the 5th heat, so that was good. I didn't want to really be in the early heat, so being in the 5th heat definitely helped, and the track's starting to get to where the small block's going to be the deal.
It looks like it's starting to head that way, and as you get ready to do the redraw, that kind of mixes things up yet again. But, you know, with the small block setup, it looks like it's starting to fall in your guys' favor.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm a terrible drawer, so I'm going to have to pick out one of these guys to go draw for me. But if we get a good draw and we start up front, I think we got a chance at this.
All right, well, we'll see what happens here with that New York Truck Parts 55. Pit side here at Orange County, looking over the finish order from heat race number 1. Guy came home in 2nd place, passed a few cars doing it. Matt Billings in the 74. Matt, what kind of combination did you guys come here with today?
We came down with our dirt big block and a 2014 Bicknell. We had Hoosiers on it. We didn't bring racers. going by practice yesterday, we kind of ate up our Hoosier, so I'm thinking it's a little bit better choice. But I've never been down here until yesterday, so it was first time here. So far, so good, I guess. We started 6th and ended up 2nd, so can't complain with that.
No, not at all. And what's your initial reaction to Orange County?
I like it. It's a little bit hard to pass. I think. I hope we can redraw well for the feature. But yeah, it looks like it's got a lot of history here. It looks like it's got a few stories to tell.
Have you ever run with the sail panels before?
One time last year at Utichrome, so it's kind of a new thing altogether here, so I don't really have too big a notebook on them, and don't have too big a notebook here, so it's just kind of, we still got 2 feet of snow up in Brockville, so so this is a lot nicer, 60 degrees.
Yeah, and not a cloud in the sky today. Track's gonna slick off, it's gonna be real dry. We'll see what happens here. What are you looking for the feature?
Yeah, see, that's a problem. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go bump some information off some guys, but no, it changed a lot from hot laps to the heat race here, and if it's anything like it was yesterday, he'll start eating up tires, I'm thinking, but I don't know, like I said.
All right, well, yeah, we're all going to learn what's going to happen here. That's Matt Billings in the 74. Thank you very much for your time. And that was the field rolling by for heat race number 4 that you just heard in the background here at Orange County.
Well, there's most of your heat winners there, and a great interview with Matt Billings. Matt's a great guy to talk to. I had a chance to interview him up at Syracuse, and walked right up to him, and he was open with all that information. Hopefully they get all that snow melted up there so those guys can get going and come racing down here at CMP. But, Clint, let's talk about the heat race winners and some of the adjustments that you and I were seeing taking place in the pits before the feature. And, first, let's start out with Jeremy Markle. Fuel line comes apart while he's leading his heat race. What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I could smell fuel. My pant leg started getting wet. Let's just throttle down and keep going.
Hammer down. It's the hard clay open.
And, hell, while we're at it, we might as well burn our right rear tire up and win by half a straightaway.
Yeah. Just wild stuff there. Danny Tyler, Anthony Perego making those small blocks work. They were able to get heat wins, and I loved the interview. We said this yesterday. The interview of the day was Jerry Higbee. Just a great guy to talk racing with. He was really pumped up yesterday. I'm sure getting the heat win helped, of course, but sure. His line was, if little Perego's on the pole, I bet the farm on him. That's the only kind of stuff that you're going to hear here on the podcast and over with our friend Doug, who we're going to be sharing some of these interviews with. So great stuff there with our heat race winners. Ryan Watt was a new guy we got to talk to, and not too bad a run there for him.
Yeah, I think he finished. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the changes we were seeing. Okay. A lot of guys, tires. What tire are we going to run? We talked to Jeremy Markle, and he burned up a Hoosier in 10 laps in the heat race.
But we don't know what tire he had on for the heat race.
That's true.
He may have had a medium on. We don't know that. We only got to see what guys are running for the feature, and most of them were going with the extra hards. Brett Hearn had a 500 on there. I think Becchetti had a 500 on. Going from a medium compound to the heat, from the heat to the hard or the extra hard for the feature was a big decision.
Yeah. And Brett, you talk about Brett Hearn, he had American Racers on the front end of the car and Hoosiers on the back end of the car, which you could do.
Yeah, and any tire combination you wanted to run.
Yep. And that was the big decision in the pits, was what to do. And, we talked with Matt Billings. Billings, during the feature race, went out with Hoosiers, came in, and ended up changing a tire to American Racers. Now, he had a little bit of a problem out on the track, but when he came in after he got caught up to the back of the field, they decided to come in the pits and throw an American Racer on because they weren't sure that the Hoosier was going to last. They had been burning them up for the last 2 days between practice and yesterday's events. So another interesting piece was sail panels. And
well, before we get to where you're going, when we got there for hot laps, the 94 of Tim Heinle didn't have sail panels on his car. When he went out for the third or fourth practice session, I said, "Hey, that 94's got sail panels on now. He didn't before." And you're like, "Yeah, that's right." And now get to where you're going.
Yeah, so now before the feature starts, you've got Brett Hearn and Stuart Friesen pull their sail panels off the car for the feature. And obviously they thought that was the best combination to go with. And unfortunately, we're never going to know because they had problems in the feature race. But, I'm not sure. It was an interesting move, and we caught up with another guy who was not running sail panels, just wasn't comfortable with them. That was driver of the Randy Sherlock Motorsports 10 car, Billy Van Inwagen. And let's go and talk to him about why they weren't running sail panels.
We're out here pit side at Orange County. We're going to catch up with the driver of the 10 car, Tri-State Roofing, Sherlock Motorsports, Billy Van Inwagen. I got it. All right, there we go. I wanted to first talk to you. How is the car running out there without the sail panels?
This is what we run here with every Saturday night. We had them on yesterday in practice, and I was so uncomfortable. It was unbelievable. And I even raced sprint cars. I kind of had a sprint car feel. We just couldn't find a good balance at all, so we went back to our Saturday night setup, and I feel like we're close.
Yeah, I mean, you guys really ran well in the heat race. I'm sure that had to give you a lot of confidence as we get ready for the feature.
Yes and no. I think we still have a little bit to gain. The track should be similar to like an Eastern States 200 race. That we're pretty good there, so I think we'll be all right.
Now, all the different combinations you guys could go with, are you guys winning big block or small block here?
This is a big block. Our small block's not in any of the cars yet, but pretty much this is just a shakedown for us for our normal Saturday night deal.
All right, well, good luck to the rest of the season and to tonight in the feature. That's Billy Van Inwagen, driver of the 10 car, and they're just going with what they know here at the hard clay.
Just going with what they know, Clint, and obviously it was working for him. I mean, he ended up coming home 6th in the final finish order. And we'll talk more about the feature on the other side of the break, but they just said, hey, we put them on, we didn't like it, we didn't think we were going to be competitive with it, and so we're not going to run them. And they qualified in the show, ended up with a top 10 run, and hey, what can you say? When you're not comfortable, you got to go with what you know. I'm sure you've had that experience with all the cars that you've worked on in your day.
Yeah, absolutely. You can throw all the stuff at it you want, but if the driver doesn't like it, it doesn't matter. You want to go with what's fast, but you also got to make the driver comfortable. And if he goes down into turn 1 and he gets it sideways and it feels like the front end's going to wash out and those walls are concrete and they hurt, you want to make them comfortable going in there because they are flying down the straightaway.
Yeah, and if the driver has in his head already that he's not comfortable with them, you're almost done right there.
He's backing off 4 or 5 car lengths earlier than he would if he knew that he couldn't get into the turn.
Yeah. Well, that is all of the pre-race and post-heat race coverage that we had out there at the Hard Clay Open. We're going to go off to a quick break and take care of a little business with our sponsors. On the other side of the break, we'll break down the feature event, and we'll talk with 4 out of the top 5.
We're going to talk about something that was really cool first, though.
Yes, we will. We will get into the Consi discussion as well.
You're listening
to Turn 5. Penn Electronics is the official Radio Shack dealer of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They're also the only Radio Shack dealer in the Penn area. Visit them at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn for all of your electronics, cable, music, and cell phone needs. Visit Penyan Electronics or give them a call, 315-536-7700. Penyan Electronics. RaceChaserOnline.com is your home for news, views, and driver interviews. You can catch everything from F1 to IndyCar, NASCAR, short track, and dirt car. You can also find them on Speed 77 Radio Mondays on Shoutcast. Catch Motorsports Madness live at 7 p.m. and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report Thursdays at 7 p.m. Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. If you need karaoke for your bar or party, or if you need the photo booth to create memories that'll last a lifetime, give Stu a call at 315-481-9700, or you can find him on Facebook, search Creekside Entertainment, or find him on the World Wide Web, www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com.
Your dirt track home for news, discussion, and driver interviews along with race results. You're listening to Turn 5.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, brought to you weekly by Penyan Electronics, Creekside Entertainment, Race Chaser Online, and Speed 77 Radio. And Clint, let's talk about those consies and something interesting that happened that we really haven't seen before.
Yeah, I mean, leave it to Brett Deo to come up with something that was a little bit different. And, what he did was they had 3 B mains, and they had 3 qualify out of each B main. Well, at the end of the B main, the guy that finished 4th pulled directly onto pit road, sat there. Second race was run, the guy that finished 4th came off, and we're sitting there and we're going, what are they doing? We were standing next to Chuck McKee's pit, and they're like, where did he go? He didn't qualify. We're waiting for him in the pit. We want to check the car over. And, he's pulling in the front. And then
his crew guys are confused. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Why didn't he come back?
Yep. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, I wonder if they're going to have a last chance qualifier, an LCQ. And so we
which you're familiar with.
Yeah. I've kind of fallen in love with the AMA Supercross. You got to have something to do when NASCAR is not on and when it's not racing season.
But you still like dirt.
Well, what's dirt? AMA Supercross. See, I haven't left.
Well played. Well played, my friend.
Yes. There's nothing better than the dirt oval, I got to tell you. But the LCQ is you get one last chance to make it. And you can't touch the car. They could not work on the car. So Gary Tompkins, who finishes 4th in the B main, has to come right off the track, and they pull right out onto the track, right? So it's go with what you got. And McGannon and McKee and Tompkins were all sitting there. Well, McKee and McGannon were sitting there. Their tires are cooling off. Their motor's cooling off.
I didn't really think about that, but that's a good point. That they sat and kind of things cooled off. That's a good point.
And, and Tompkins comes in and his car's hot. He's right off the track. He's already had his tires are run up to temperature. And they go out, and there's a 2-lap shootout, and winner is basically winner take all. That's the last chance to make it into the show, and man, what a race it was!
Yeah, it was interesting because McGannon had sail panels, Chuck McKee was just running a regular body style for a modified, and you could see that McKee was sticking right with him. Didn't really have enough to pull out and pass him, but he was sticking with him. And boy, when they come off of turn 4, McKee got an ungodly run to the bottom of the surface, pulled up alongside of him.
Tried to rough him up a little bit.
Tried to rough him up just before the flag stand. You could see he turned right just a little bit, made some contact, but McGannon, doing his best Norm Benning impression, kept his foot to the wood, and qualified and got the very last spot in the Hard Clay Open, and the crowd went crazy.
They went nuts. They
as
really
we did down on pit road.
Yeah, we jumped up, we cheered. It was just a great race. It was a really cool deal for Brett, and he's got another cool deal that we'll talk about after we talk about the results.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Hard Clay Open. 50 long laps there at Orange County Fair Speedway. Andy Becchetti drew the pole, and from the pole took the early advantage. These guys started hitting lap cars within 10 laps, and really, Anthony Perego was running second at that point and was trying to chase down Becchetti. Matt Billings was running up there as well. And actually, I think it was Billings that was running second. Perego was third.
Yes, Billings ran
early
second.
on.
Yep.
And the first caution flag of the day came on lap 18. And at that point, the two guys that we had kind of figured would be the favorites, Brett Hearn and Stuart Friesen, they had to qualify in from the consies, so they were starting out back on the field anyway. And at that point, Friesen was up to 14th, Hearn was up to 15th, so slowly making a charge up through the field. But man, I got to tell you, that was going to be a tough road to hoe coming from the consie and trying to make all those passes there at the hard clay. On the restart on lap 18, big pile up coming out of 4. Wasn't the pile up that took a few cars out, but you could see there was a lot of framming and jamming going on.
A lot of jumbling.
And when the dust settled, there sat Stuart Friesen on the top side of turn 4. Not really sure what happened. From our vantage point, all you could see was just a big old cloud of dust. And
yeah, and he may have shut it down to keep from getting in the fence.
Yeah, that's very well could have been what happened. So they line them all back up, and on the restart, again, another pile up right there in turn 4. Got into the inside wall, into the Uke tires. 4 cars were down there. Stuart Friesen, who was on tail of the field now, had to use the pit road there at Orange County as kind of an evasive maneuver to miss that. So he missed all those cars and picked up those 4 spots for the cars. One of the cars involved in the accident, Brett Hearn. So now here you have lap 18 of 50, and Hearn and Friesen are shotgun on the field. Again, trying to make their way back up through the field. Also, during that point, that was when Matt Billings all of a sudden went to the pits. Not sure what happened there, other than he did put a new right rear sneaker on, and at that point, it looked like he had put an American Racer on. On the restart, Becchetti, again, jumped back out to the lead. Perego, Danny Tyler, Billy Van Inwagen, and Jeremy Markle were your top 5 at that point. The yellow flag came out again on lap 31. And it appeared that one of the lap cars had spun or had a problem there. We didn't see from our vantage point just exactly what took place, but we did hear some whispers about one of the lap cars kind of getting in the way of the leaders, and we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
So then on that restart, again, Becchetti pulls away. Now Danny Tyler moves up to the second spot. And this was interesting. The restarts were a challenge. The bottom lane in 3 and 4 had kind of started to break up a little bit, and that inside row kind of moved up the track so to not run through the holes on the restart, which then put the outside row way out in the marbles. And every time there was a restart, kicked up a lot of marbles and dust on the outside, so that guy starting in the outside row was really having a hard time trying to get going, so the inside row really had the advantage on the restarts. Danny Tyler at that point had moved himself up to second place. And, Clint, from there, we had a few yellows sprinkled in there. You had yellow on lap 32. Dwayne Howard had a problem with some front-end damage on the 66 car. They had another restart. Becchetti, now Perego had moved back up to second. Danny Tyler ran third. Now you started to see the 94 car of Tim Heinle. And Tim Heinle really put on a show there at the hard clay. Worked his way up through the field. And as we said, that car started out the day without the sail panels. Wanted to make sure they had the balance right just in case they decided to take them off. But in the end, it was the sail panels that were king. And Tim Heinle in that 94 started to work his way up through the field. And also to note, Danny Johnson, driving the 86 car, had cracked the top 5. there on the restart for lap 32 into 33. And then lap 35, Heinle starts to move forward again, takes over third place. So your top three at that point was Becchetti, Perego, and Heinle. Lap 48 was where a great run for Anthony Perego came to a screeching halt as the 55 shredded a right rear sneaker and coming through turns 3 and 4 and just ended what was going to be a really good day for him.
Yeah, he was just, looked like he was just starting to reel in Becchetti a little bit. He might have been saving that right rear a little bit. Might have been late in the race where, Becchetti's tires were going away and the small block had saved a little bit for the end. But yeah, originally I thought that he blew up coming out of 4 because there was some smoke behind him. But as he got closer to us, we saw that the right rear was shredded. So
yeah. And at that point, we also noticed, you pointed out to me, the fact that Danny Tyler had a soft or maybe possibly even flat left front tire. And we asked him about that after the race in our post-race interviews, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But and at that point, your top 5, which was going to be a green-white checkered to the finish, running at that point was Andy Becchetti. Tim Heinle now moves up to second. Danny Tyler running third with that flat or soft left front tire. The doctor, Danny Johnson, had gotten himself up to 4th, and now cracking the top 5 was Jeff Heotzler in the 2A. And just another guy, slow and steady, moving his way up through the field. When a guy would mess up, he'd drive by him. And that's how he picked off those spots all race long, ended up getting himself a top 5 finish. And at the end, green-white checkered finish, nobody had anything for Andy Becchetti. He didn't run away and have a half-track lead, but he was able to keep everybody just in arm's length so that nobody could get close enough to try and bump by, do a bump and run, or anything of that sort.
Yeah, 4 or 5 car lengths seemed to be about the maximum that he ever got away. But you know what? Didn't matter. 1 car length would have been enough.
Absolutely. And let's go to our interview with the race winner, Andy Becchetti. All right, pit side at Orange County with the race winner for the Hard Clay Open, Andy Becchetti. And Andy, I know you said out on the front stretch that you had gone back and forth about running the small block or the big block, but I know starting from the pole definitely helped with the big block.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody who had a small block today definitely had the advantage, I would say. And we were just hanging. If it was, 75 laps, I don't think we would have been where we are today, but you got to take them when you can get them, and like I say, the place blew apart pretty good, and it was real rough on tires, but you know what, it paid off for us, and hats off to this team, man. They worked hard for 2 days here.
How many more laps do you think you had on that right rear?
Maybe 10. Yeah, wasn't much left there.
What's it mean to get a win at Orange County?
Well, to get one of Brett's hard clay deal, back here at Orange County, it's means a lot to me because I feel that we've come here, year after year for Eastern States and a couple of specials, and we've run really, really well. But you know what? We haven't had the luck, and today we did.
Congratulations on the win, and where will you guys be running next?
I think Accord on Friday, and Lebanon on Saturday, and then our weekly deal, and then we're going to hit some of Brett. We're going to hit most of all Brett's shows.
All right. Well, good luck to the rest of your season, and congratulations.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Now we're going to hear from second place, third place, and we got an interview with fifth place Jeff Heotzler.
Pit side doing some post-race here at Orange County. We're going to talk with Tim Heinle. Brought the 94 car home in second place. And what's interesting with you guys is you guys started without the sail panels in the practice session this morning. Seems like you guys went through a lot of changes as the day went on.
We struggled yesterday getting the car balanced right, and that was contributing to the sail panels. Never ran them here before. So I went out and practiced with no sail panels, make sure we had the balance back where we know the car works, and then we put the sail panels back on, and things came around to us.
It seemed like trying to keep tires on it was going to be the challenge of the day. How were you guys able to do that?
Well, that was the big issue. Yesterday we ran American races, which we haven't ran here in a few years, and we felt they were going to be faster, but I think just the feel of them had me, as a driver, out of sync with the car. So that's why we had to go back basic this morning, and then we had American racers, and then we felt the Hoosiers were better in the front, so we went with American racers in the back.
It's got to feel good to get a good run here at Orange County.
It's a great way to start the year. I mean, the guys, they worked their butts off to be here, and they deserve it more than I do.
Are you guys going to be following the rest of the Brett Deo series here?
That's our game plan. Hopefully we can. Joe Sarvis. Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Joe Sarvis, we talked over the winter. He wants to hit the 6 races. As long as everything holds together good, that's what we're going to try doing.
That's a great start for that.
Yes, Brett's a great guy. I'm glad. Hopefully there wasn't too much dust for the fans. It's a shame, but he has no control over that. Hopefully they got to see a good race. We started 19th. I don't think we really got spots because of casualties, so hopefully to see some good racing.
All right, good luck the rest of the way, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's Tim Hindley coming home second place here at the Hard Clay Open. How about it, man? We're pit side post-race with at the Hard Clay Open here at Orange County, and we're talking with Danny Tyler, and we talked to you before the race and said, hey, let's just keep her up there, keep the wheels on her, and even with the soft left front, still made her home in third.
Yeah, that's the guy said it was flat for 20 laps, and I said to these guys, I noticed it on lap 5, and I wish I didn't because it seemed like the last 5 laps I couldn't make the turn just like I did before. But we're really happy. The HFC chassis, Morrison race engines, and all the crew, the guys, my fiance Bree, everybody, it's a team effort. And without these guys, I'd be sitting home on the couch hearing about the race.
Restarts were crazy today, especially coming out of 4. What did it look like from the driver's seat?
If you're on the bottom, it's a good thing. If you're on the top, you better really get to the bottom real quick. And a couple times you had to snooker the guy ahead of you, and then when he got the chance, he snookered you. But it was a good race. And like these big tracks, once they get spaced out, it's hard to catch them. So you had to definitely pick and choose where you can make your passes and stuff.
I know you guys said that you normally don't follow a full schedule. What are you guys looking for your next race?
We're gonna run Ackworth Speedway full time on Friday nights, and then 5 Mile Point on Saturday nights. We usually run maybe 8 to 10 shows at 5 Mile Point, and one year we won 2 modified races and 5 sportsman races. So we have always really done good there, but never really had the fundings to go there. This year I don't have the fundings, but it's in my head that if I gotta walk there, I'm gonna do it.
All right, guys, that's Danny Tyler. Brings it home in 3rd place, and you guys will see him down at the 5 Mile Point Speedway.
Yeah, we started in the 15th spot, and I knew I just had to ride for a while, and knew we had to keep the tires on the car. That was number 1 today. And we kept it on the bottom, we kept it straight, we kept the tires on the car, and just whenever anyone overdrove the turn, we were right there to take that position. So really happy with the top 5. It's more than what I expected for today.
And I know that for somebody that's going to be following all of these races that Brett's promoting, a 5th place finish right out of the gate is got to give you guys a lot of momentum and confidence headed to the next one.
Right, what a start. That's what I was telling the guys. Okay, this is a good one. Well, this is our home track, per se, and we brought it home, so hopefully move on to the next one and score another good run.
Good run today, and good luck the rest of the series.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Well, Clint, there's interviews with 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. We tried to catch up with the doctor, but by the time we got all of our interviews through, they had pretty well packed up and was headed back to the Finger Lakes here, so we weren't able to catch up with Danny. Hope that we'll be able to catch up with him over there for the Canandaigua opener, which will now be the Jan Corcoran Memorial. But let's talk about the interviews that we got. Great. I'm sure Andy feels like the win is a bit of redemption, a little bit. They've had some great runs there and not come home with the finish that they were looking for. So I'm sure that was great for him. And we were just talking here about the fact that Danny Tyler is a guy that we met on Sunday. Have heard the name, but never met the kid, never knew where he races, and now we know that we'll be watching the Accord results.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he was one of the nicer interviews. I believe he's an underfunded team compared to a lot of the guys that are out there.
He admitted that, yeah.
Yeah, admittedly so.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I think when the Accord race results come out, I think I'm going to see how Danny Tyler does on Friday nights.
Yeah. And Tim Heinle, who during the interview, you know, reminded us that those guys started 19th.
19th.
That's a great run, 19th to second. And,
and like you
every
said,
time he passed a car, the front stretch grandstands went crazy. And we were trying to figure out, you know, who they were cheering for. We weren't sure if it was Jeff Heotzler coming up through the field, but then we figured out that it was Tim Heinle. And when he cracked the top 5, each car he passed, the crowd went crazy. You thought Dale Jr. had taken the lead at Talladega, the way those guys were hooting and hollering. Just a great atmosphere out there at the hard clay. Had a great time out there. Congratulations to Andy Bicchetti. And that kind of puts a wrap on it for that coverage. We're going to go off to a commercial break.
Bob McGannon, the last chance qualifier, got up to finish 12th.
Yes, he did. Came from dead last, came back up to 12th. We got a special interview coming up. We're going to go off to break. When we come back, we're going to have a sit-down here in the Casa de Porkchop Studios with the Mashewske boys.
You're listening
to Turn 5. Penyan Electronics is the official Radio Shack dealer of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They're also the only Radio Shack dealer in the Penyan area. Visit them at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penyan for all of your electronics, cable, music, and cell phone needs. Visit Penyan Electronics or give them a call, 315-536-7700. Penyan Electronics. RaceChaserOnline.com is your home for news, views, and driver interviews. You can catch everything from F1 to IndyCar, NASCAR, short track, and dirt car. You can also find them on Speed 77 Radio Mondays on Shoutcast. Catch Motorsports Madness live at 7 p.m. and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report Thursdays at 7 p.m. Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. If you need karaoke for your bar or party, or if you need the photo booth to create memories that'll last a lifetime, give Stu a call at 315-481-9700, or you can find him on Facebook, search Creekside Entertainment, or find him on the World Wide Web, www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com.
Your dirt track home for news, discussion, and driver interviews along with race results. You're listening to Turn 5.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, brought to you weekly by Creekside Entertainment, Penyan Electronics, and Race Chaser Online, Speed 77 Radio. Clint, we have got guests in studio tonight.
What's up?
It helps if I turn your microphone on, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what's up?
Well, we are honored to have a couple of in-studio guests. We don't get to do it too often, but we have the Mashewskes in studio with us. We got Chris and Matt. How you boys doing tonight?
Good, thanks.
Pretty good.
All right. So let's talk about 2013. Kind of looking back. You guys had runs both out at the Black Rock Speedway and doing some racing down at Woodhall. Talk about the season.
Well, I'll let Matt go ahead first, as this was his third year in the Bandits.
I don't know, just went out there during the first race and wasn't really sure how the car was going to handle because it's been so long since the last race. So went out there with our old motor. It was tired and did all right the first night, got us a second, and then just after that, motor wasn't really there. Third race in, it kind of blew up, and yeah.
How does a motor kind of blow up?
Well,
That's a good question. That was where I was going. I'm glad you did. See, we're a good team.
Just kind of ran out of power.
Yeah, well, kind of ran out of power because it was between that and the battery was going dead. So then we would go out in the pits, and my dad went out for his heat, and saw some thought it was dirt coming off the hood of the car, and third lap in, I guess he realized, oh, that's not dirt. Maybe I should go in the pits. And
pretty much the motor had expired at that point, so no need to put oil down and make things bad for the other racers on the track. But that was kind of our turnaround in the season. We learned some things in places to budget money, and when things were tight, you went out with what you had. What's different about the race community that your competitors, there's no other place in the country that you'll go where your competitors will help you to get back out there and compete against them by putting your motor together and come on over to our shop and 2-3 o'clock in the morning load it in. So James Kreidler and his dad and Richie Sharpstein and some of those guys that helped us with the car, and some parts that were donated, and get it together so we can get back out there and compete again.
And that seems to be, especially with that crowd over there, that really seems to be the norm and not the exception. Just a great pit area over there at Black Rock with those guys, kind of the back row guys, you might say. They got the back row guys at Canandaigua, and you might just think that these guys are the back row guys at Black Rock. And I think that's something that's really unique about our sport here in motorsports that is not quite the same in the stick and ball sports. And absolutely. I'm sure you guys would probably agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a unique situation, and like I say, for them to be your competition and be out there to help you to get back out and get back up toward the front and be competitive. That pretty much where we turned our season around. This was my rookie year, full-time driving this year in 2013. And we were hanging with a tired motor and 10th and 12th points in the points there, and put the new motor in. Did a little bit of, talking to guys that have been there longer than both of us, the Pavaskis, and Joe and Ronnie, and how to back out of it going in the corners instead of staying in it wide open. And sometimes slower is faster, but it's hard to believe when your competition's on the outside of you going by you that you can make that. And getting comfortable in the car, basically, the setup and the tire pressure was the huge part.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's much different now than even back when I was sitting down in the car. In the track now is much different to try and get a hold of than in years past. I can remember in my days running, it was always keeping the momentum up on the outside, and you'd be pretty good to go. And now, with the track configuration being a little different, taking those walls down, got the turtles, it seems like if you can keep her going on the bottom real good, is that what you guys have experienced so far?
For me, I'm a bottom. I like the bottom. You've got a little bit more moisture down there. It's a little tacky for us at the end of the night after everybody else has been on it. And, sometimes the track was pretty well spanked at the end of the night, and we're the last show. But for Matt, he took the high side, and he kept the momentum going. And so close a couple times that I was biting my teeth, my tongue while he's up against the wall in turn 4, and he made it, or he might have just brushed it with the Nerf bar on the side, but definitely made for some exciting racing for him, especially because he had 3 feature wins this year.
Now let's talk about those, Matt. You got picked up 3 features this past season. Out of those 3, what one stands out the most to you?
Probably the very last one, because it was between me and Brandon Matthews in the 33, and Brandon was up there, and he started ahead of me, but I just came out. My dad and JJ just told me, they're like, just run your race. It's the last night. Just run your race. It's completely up to you. It's fine. You make it, you don't. So I went out there, just ran my race, and came down to the last 2 laps. I started gaining on him the very last lap, and went into 2 and 3, and I was gaining on him, and on the backstretch, my dad told me he could see that I had him, and then when I went into 3, I just went right by him, and so really that had to be the best racing night of all of the nights, I'd say.
That's cool. And, is there any, looking back on any of the races last year, is there any nights where you look back and you say, man, I wish I'd have done this, or is there any of those races that, as racers we go back and look after and say, man, I really want that one back?
Yeah, there were a couple nights that had kind of happened to me. I'm like, boy, I wish that would have happened.
Yeah, I think the other part of it was he's a little harder on himself because he had high expectations. He went in there to win the championship. He didn't go in there to finish second. And every night that we went out there, that was the deal. And came down, and one of your former guests, Allison Teed, he and Allison both battled it out all year long. And come down to last race, it was people were on their feet for Matt coming across the finish line, and he was about half or a car length ahead of Brandon coming out of 4 and close to the turn 4 wall. He liked the high side, and I kind of liked the bottom side. So 2 different driving styles, and he says, Dad, I've got 2 wins now. It's time for your first. No need to put a little extra weight on my shoulders. A little stress and expectations of Dad as well. So.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's nice in the bandit race because the track is a little heavier, so you can keep the momentum up on the outside as opposed to when it starts to slick off. So
there were a couple nights. There was only one night that it was like really soaked, and that was a night that we had where the adults made up their feature from the week before, and then my dad came in. The thing was just plastered with mud, and I'm like, oh man. I don't know if I'll be able to get it back out there. I don't want this thing to overheat and grenade on me. So my dad's just like, just go out there, then just come over to the water tower and we'll clean it out. I'm like, all right. He's like, don't lift. It's too heavy out there. Don't lift. I'm like, all right.
He adjusted the tire pressure and told him to stay right in it because it was going to bog it down. So, that was...
A term I learned when I was racing for the Pavoskis was keep her to the wood.
Yeah.
And the first time Joe said that to me, I looked at him and kind of cocked my head off to the side like a little puppy dog. I said, keep her to the wood? What are you talking about? We're racing race cars here, We're, But, absolutely. That's... we're sitting here talking about this stuff, and I've always told Clint that this is dangerous for me to be talking racing and going back and thinking about memories and all that stuff. Let's talk about 2 drivers in the same car running races in the same night. and I'll probably have to field this question off to Dad.
Absolutely.
Because you just said it. You got 2 different drivers, 2 different driving styles.
One's 8 foot tall. One's 4'5".
Well,
not quite 4'5".
Not quite 4'5".
You get the picture.
We got
Matt's very tall.
Yeah,
and probably a head length taller than Dad.
Yeah,
and tell us about how you accommodate the seat wise and comfort. And
well, just to give you an idea, he's 6'8" and I'm 5'8". I'm his shoulder rest for his arms in the pits. If anybody's seen us in the pits before and just wondered, the legitimacy of whose child it is, kind of a running joke between us. But in all seriousness,
who's your milkman?
Yeah, we won't go there. But the other part was just sliding the seat. We had 2 positions that we had to change.
Okay.
A lot of times in between the races, as we say that other people helped us in the pits, we helped other people. He'd get out of the car, and if he hit one of the kids down there or got into him on accident, didn't mean to, he'd be down there apologizing to them, and I'm trying to get the car changed over to get out for my heat. And I'm like, you can socialize and apologize later. I got a heat to get out here to qualify in. So that was kind of the fun about it. Sometimes the frustration, because it was a quick turnaround. So by the time he went out and did his hot laps, he did his feature, we never got enough chance to go out and do any hot laps at all because it was so close in time. So, we were lucky to make our heat. as well as running to be a track electrician at the same time. So I remember tonight, the third race, the motor or the battery was dying, and in between my heat and the feature, we sent Andrew, my oldest son, down to Walmart to buy a battery so we could get out there because nobody in the pits had a battery we could use. So, but that's what you do, and like I said, just different driving styles, different seat positions. Tire pressure was pretty much set for both of us. It didn't matter if it was high or low.
That was going to be my next question. What thing did you guys have to do a ton of setup changes for you running later in the night?
Well, not really. I think most of it, he had a little bit more seat time. It was a driving style thing, more so than it was a setup for the car. We had quite a few people in this car, and we had this car for 3 years. It's a very competitive car. We bought from Dean Hogue. It was Alex Hogue's, or not Alex, Noah Harrington's, the 7H car that we bought.
Oh, that's right.
So we went to Paradise. We've had 3 or 4 different winners over there. Willie Grant drove for us at the end of the season, the first year that Matt drove in the Bandits toward the tail end of the season, and Jeremy Trank came on and drove it, and I guess
J.J. Kreidler won at Woodhall with it.
Yep. And that was right after we blew the motor up, and he proved that it could be done. Matt told him, went up with the drawing, and you're gonna pull the pole, he says, and by gosh, did JJ pull the pole? And he beat Morseman and held all those guys off over there, and
Jason Gleason.
Well, here's another thing.
This is a good story. I know where you're going with this.
We went over there. Basically just to relax after working at Black Rock and being a long week, and Friday or Saturday to settle down, get the car cleaned up and ready. And we get over there, and we went out and ran the heat, and I think Chad and I came together. Chad was a little bit loose up in turn 4, and his car snapped down into my right front, and it broke the rack in his car. It didn't break it, but it bent it real bad, and he had to be towed off. So we come in and start helping him work on his car to get it put back together. And Jason Gleason says, geez, I blew the motor in my car, and we weren't there for points. We were there for fun. So we ended up, there was a little deal worked out, and he gave Chad a rack, and we helped him, and he drove our car, and I think it was a 4th or 5th place finish in our car for never being there before, which, helped him come within, I think, a point or 2 of the championship against Morseman. But Jason's a stand-up guy, and, we were there not for a points contention because we came there late in the season, missed 4 or 5 races, ended up 9th in points over there overall, and just, afterwards, the camaraderie amongst your competitors, and what's neat about racing is we're such a close-knit friends and family, on the track and off the track. We're all competitors, and we're all out there to beat the guy that's next to us and get to the front and win. But if you need a hand, everybody's there to help you.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say too, Chris. That's the nice thing about Black Rock being Friday, Woodhall Saturday. You're running for points at Black Rock on Friday, and they didn't have the full schedule last year. So if you decided that you wanted to go to Woodhall, and remember what it's like to have fun at a racetrack.
Right.
When you're racing for points, lots of people don't understand that when you're racing for points, week in and week out, it's like a job.
Right. Absolutely.
And when you get a chance, and we did this with the Superstock back in 2000 with Dad. If Black Rock rained out on Friday, we usually went to Woodhall on Saturday and had a good time.
Right.
Just to remember what it was like to have fun at a racetrack.
Well, we went in there with a little different expectation, being my rookie year. Basically we got the 4-cylinder car for Matt to kind of get a grasp on his grades in school, to get that as a motivator, because I knew what his passion was, and that's what brought this 4-cylinder into both of us racing it. And we've sponsored a lot of people in the racing community, from Malcolm Lane, Lance Young, Jared Hill, Derek Patsiadlo. We still sponsor these guys over the years. So just a big passion for racing and getting out there. If I finished in the top 10, that was my goal. We ended up, after changing that motor and a lot of borrowed and donated parts, we went to the front and ended up 5th in points. So I guess my best finish, and probably the best time that I had there, was finishing 2nd from lap 2 to lap 10, it took J.J. Kreidler to get from the back to catch me. And when we sat down at his house and his girlfriend had videoed it, we looked at it on the screen, and you could see where he was smoother through the corners and I was a little bit sideways. And down the front and back stretches, we were pretty even, even cars and even motors. He wasn't pulling me. So anything that you can learn.
He could get that car through a corner as good as anybody in a four-cylinder.
Absolutely.
It was Richie a couple years ago, Richie and JJ going at it tooth and nail. And then, of course, Richie moved up, and JJ, that car was just on a rail. And, he was always tough to beat. He was always number one, man.
Yeah, I think no matter what he did, he was a fierce competitor, whether it was darts or pool or, it didn't matter what they were racing. Anything that they had to do, JJ's very competitive out there. But they're also one to tell you, try different things. And we tried, one guy that had a championship with tire pressures, and it just didn't work for us. And we ended up talking to JJ, and I said, well, he's been there, he's won, he's winning a lot. What can we do to change to match what he's doing so we don't have to reinvent the wheel? And after the third race, I just, learned a little bit, and getting seat time is the big part of it. So you get the car to handle and know what it does and what you want it to do and how to make it respond the way you need it.
Looking ahead to 2014, what are our plans so far, and do we have goals set for this season so far? I'll start with Matt.
Yeah, well, we have. I'm not going to be out there this year because we weren't sure who was going to own the track, and my dad was just ended up basically sold the car, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get raced this year anyway, so I just wanted to sell the car so we could get Dad's car done and finished, and finally got that getting finished, and hope to see that. And I don't know, my goal for all of us this season is to see my dad get a championship or second place, and
cool. That's where we're at. Right now we've got Dave Machuga. We brought him out of retirement to get back to fabbing cars. And anybody that knows racing, we're going back, 21, 22 years ago when he had the championship at Black Rock. And, there's a walking wealth of knowledge. It's probably, forgot more than we'll ever know. But it's just fun to be in the shop and see his creative side of what he does. It's hard to explain how much, just this guy's brain is thinking all the time.
Yeah. The year that I ran with Joe and Ronnie, that was a Mashewske car, and just a work of art. Those guys over there. Yep. So, let's talk to you. With your racer's cap on, all of these changes over the last couple weeks that have come out. What was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
Well, as you know, you were the first one that I said, you've got to get Dan Harpel on the show, whatever you've got to do. A lot of positive revitalizing of the, a jump start or, bringing life back to the track. Heard nothing but positive things and hope that it continues in that direction. Obviously, we took the car that was going to set this year that we really didn't care to make 2 or 3 races, and now we want to go back and compete, because the hard part walking away from that wasn't just the track, but the friends that we raced with every week. Just that 4-cylinder group as a whole. We did things outside the track. We went to dinners together. Had parties at different people's houses and bonfires, and Rick Horton. It became a lot of fun. So you look forward to coming to the track. It just got to be a real tight knit group of guys and gals as well. We had Erica Bell there and Kaylee Wassner there. So it became a real tight knit group and a lot of fun. Something that you look forward to. Like I said, we went in there with a little bit different expectation, rather than finishing first. We went in there realistically. Can we finish in the top 10? Well, we got to 6, and it took a little bit more to get to 5th.
Right.
And I think we were 18 points out of 3rd place, finishing the season. And, Matt was 18 points out of winning a championship as a bandit. So.
Yeah, once you get to the top 10, then you look and you say, okay, now what do we got to do to get to the top 5?
Absolutely.
And then after that, then it's, okay, now what do we got to do to take that next step and break through? So, so tracks that we're looking at, you guys, where are we looking at running this year?
Well, if everything materializes with Dan Harpel, obviously we want to make our home track, which is about 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
The new Yates County Speedway, or
let's talk about that, because this has been a big discussion all over the dirt racing world with a couple of tracks renaming themselves and all that. It's hard for me because you just said Yates County Speedway, and if you hadn't said that, I would have gone right back to say, okay, Black Rock Speedway, or or as some people even call it, they just call it Dundee, where it's at,
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's just a whole fresh start over there. Clint, I can't remember the last time we had this many positive things happening with our local racetrack.
It's a buzz, no doubt about it. You just... It's new, it's different, it's exciting.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can't wait to get over there, and before we have to cut our time here, we want to give you guys an opportunity to highlight all of the folks that have helped you guys get the race car out on the track and to where you guys are right now.
Absolutely. Like I said, we sponsored a lot of people over the years, and we kind of used to turn the table to get some of those sponsors to work with us. And one of the top sponsors we have to thank is Lane's Yamaha, Malcolm and Cindy Lane, for all that they've done to help us over the years. And they're
great friends in motorsports.
Absolutely great friends and great passion for the sport. Architectural Concrete Plus and Bob Hartman out of Dundee there. Tom Bear and Bear's Garage, another longtime racer in the group. My business, obviously, A Plus Superior Services, because without our customers, we wouldn't be able to fund it, and the sponsors as well.
And Clint, let me tell you, these guys do some good work.
Yep.
The old Casa de Porkchop Studios here are kept warm with A Plus Superior Service.
Nice and toasty again, with no chirping in the background.
That's right.
Penny on Express Stop, Derek Patsiadlo. TRT Masonry, Wayne Haynes Woodworking, Bobby Teed Chassis, and Top Dog Studios for lettering, Chris Gary, for those who know him. And then, like, I have to say special thanks to Andrew Mashewske, my son, Matt, who prepped the car while I was still working, and he'd have the trailer ready, and I'd come home from work, and we'd hook up and go to the racetrack. Sometimes we were late sneaking in and, have to run like heck. James and J.J. Kreidler, Jason Gleason and his crew, and then Ronnie and Joe Pavosky, for their input on, how to be a racer and where to lift, set up, stuff like that.
They got a lot of experience with it, and some good guys there. So, well, that's good, man. I wish you guys a lot of luck this year, and that win's coming. That win's coming,
Yeah, the field is competition. I think the hardest part for us was once you get into the top 5, for me anyway. For Matt, he made it to second and told me it was my turn to get a win when he had 2 and got his 3rd. But the competition is tough out there, especially when you run legit and you run legal. It's such an evenly matched group of guys that are out there racing with talent that it's and any given night you can win, or any given night somebody else can win. So makes it a fun playing field. But breaking the top 5 makes you want to get to number 1. And I think there's probably more pressure on yourself at that. Maybe it won't be as much fun to race this year. I'm not going to try and get it that way, but I want to go out there and still have fun and have friends at the end as well. But obviously, we want to go out there and be in the top, first or second in points, would be our goal this year.
All right. Well, we wish you guys a lot of luck in getting there, and thank you guys for coming out. It's always great to have guests in studio here. We've had the old man Stu, we've had Gary Montgomery, and now we've had the Mashewske boys. So it's thank you guys so much for coming out, and we'll talk to you there Friday, May 2nd for the opener.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, and keep us tuned with what's happening with Mr. Harpel.
Absolutely. That we will do. And we'll get to more news and notes and our NASCAR picks. So we'll toss it off to a commercial, and we'll get into that stuff when we come back.
You're listening
to Turn 5. Penn Yan Electronics is the official Radio Shack dealer of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They're also the only Radio Shack dealer in the Penn Yan area. Visit them at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan for all of your electronics, cable, music, and cell phone needs. Visit Penn Yan Electronics or give them a call, 315-536-7700. Penn Yan Electronics. RaceChaserOnline.com is your home for news, views, and driver interviews. You can catch everything from F1 to IndyCar, NASCAR, short track, and dirt car. You can also find them on Speed 77 Radio Mondays on Shoutcast. Catch Motorsports Madness live at 7 p.m. and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report Thursdays at 7 p.m. Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. If you need karaoke for your bar or party, or if you need the photo booth to create memories that'll last a lifetime, give Stu a call at 315-481-9700, or you can find him on Facebook, search Creekside Entertainment, or find him on the World Wide Web, www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com.
Your dirt track home for news, discussion, and driver interviews along with race results. You're listening to Turn 5.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, brought to you by our good friends at Penn Yan Electronics, Creekside Entertainment, Speed 77 Radio, and the mothership, Race Chaser Online, which is the umbrella for all things Turn 5 Podcast, Motorsports Madness, SRI, Stock Car Steel, Motorsports Report. You can see those shows live. Motorsports Madness, Monday nights at 7 o'clock. Look them up on Shoutcast. And the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report Thursday nights at 7 p.m. also on Shoutcast. Make sure to check out those shows. Clint, we've got some other news and notes that we wanted to get to before we wrap up the show. Big Diamond had a big money race, Money in the Mountains down there at Big Diamond, and I know you've got the top 10 results there.
Yeah, I do. And taking home his second big win in as many weeks, Ryan Godown in the 747 took home.
What a season he's had so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like $13,000 in 2 races.
Yeah, I could make that work.
Yeah, that would be okay.
I can have a nice 4-cylinder team for that.
You could field your own field.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Coming in second would be Jeff Strunk, Eric Rudolph
driving the 4-star.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Strunk in the 4-star, Eric Rudolph,
Keith Hoffman, and Billy Decker rounding out the top 5. Billy Pouch Sr., Sammy Piazza, Pat Ward, Matt Shepard, and Craig Von Doren rounding out the top 10.
Now, you're talking about Jeff Strunk there. Jeff Strunk runs the 4-star in special events. Doesn't do, a full-time schedule, but does jump into the 4-star there for some special shows. And
now, isn't Tim McCready, doesn't he drive a 4-star car as well?
They kind of split time there. I think Tim probably does a few more shows than Jeff does. Don't quote me on that. I don't know that for sure, but Jeff wrenches on those cars, and along with his own stuff that he has, and jumps in it for some special shows, and obviously showed that
he's still got it.
It's not gone away, that's for sure. So good run there. 5 Mile Point had their opener this past weekend. They had some problems with the moisture coming up through the track. Temperatures at night got real cold. They were able to get their Sportsman show in and their 600cc modified show in. And And then by time it came time for the ROC Street Stock Series to hit the track for their event, the moisture had come up through the track. It had was a little rough, and they wisely decided to stop the racing events. They didn't want guys tearing up their equipment. They gave the guys their money back that came to run that show, and they'll have an opportunity to come back this coming Saturday. I believe they said they're going to start the events around 6:30 to complete that event. And real classy move to give those guys their money back, and in hopes that they would come back to finish that this next coming week.
Yeah, that there you go.
Pals.
There you go. I was just getting ready to say that.
Yep.
This Black Rock, Dundee, Yates County Speedway fans. This is what you have to look forward to.
Yeah, and that's something that we've been looking and wanting for quite some time. I'm not going to be bashful about it. We've needed that, and it's going to be great. We've also got some business to get to here. We've got some NASCAR picks to talk about, and we just can't keep Clint down. You give him some adversity, and he just keeps coming back. What do you got to say for yourself?
Well, what is there to say? It's me. I got this. I went to my dad's house Friday after work, and we were watching practice, and Kyle Busch was way back. And I told Dad, I said, and I picked Kyle Busch this week, and he's like, why? I'm like, because he's Kyle Busch. Well, he's terrible. Well, and then I'm like, yeah, I see that now. and then qualifying came and went, and he was 29th. He qualified, and I'm thinking, I got a text at work saying that, well, my pick is all screwed up from Steven.
Yeah.
So I
got to tell you, JJ, after laying an egg 2 weeks ago, came back and laid another one today. I don't know. I mean, some of it wasn't their fault. He was following Junior when Junior had his misjudgment, we'll say, in clipping. I saw a really funny NASCAR picture earlier, and it said pass in the grass, and it said X-nay on the pass in the grass. That didn't work out so good for Junior today, but yeah, Jimmy got some damage there, and that would just pretty much ended their day. They tried to come back, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't happening. So that's twice now that Jimmy's laid an egg on me, and I'm going to have to jump on somebody else's train. But, Clint gets the win. Unfortunately, he doesn't get knockout qualifying points, but, you'll have that. Brad coming home in second, getting a point for knockout qualifying.
Tony Stewart was on the pole, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
Kind of shocked everybody.
And me with Jimmy Johnson coming home in last with 1 point and 1 point for knockout qualifying. So, Clint, as the points stand currently before today's race, you had 20 points. I was in second with 13 points. Brad rounding out the field with 11 points. The picks, you had Kyle Busch. He ended up having the best day today, and coming home in third, just behind Jeff Gordon. So you get 3 points. Brad had Tony Stewart, and he came home with a 10th place finish today. So Brad will get 2 points, 1 for knockout qualifying, and I had Jimmy Johnson, who finished way back. So I'll get 1 point, 1 point for knockout qualifying. So the current point standings as we leave Texas and head to the Bojangles Southern 500, Clint's got 23 points, I've got 15 points, and Brad right on my heels with 14 points. And as we look at this week's race out at the track Too Tough to Tame out in Darlington, South Carolina, for my pick this week, I still feel like I need to really throw everything I got. I really need a guy that can help me get max points. I need a guy that can kind of help pull us up out of whatever's been keeping us down here in second place all season long. And I think I found my guy. And I think they've struggled lately, but I think they're gonna get out of the funk. And I think Darlington's a place that could happen. I'm gonna go with Freaky Fast, Kevin Harvick. Going with happy.
You're just throwing crap at the wall and hope it sticks, aren't you?
Because I'm happy. We're going with Happy Harvick.
Now you're delirious.
And now joining us on the Turn 5 hotline to give us his pick for this week's Bojangles Southern 500. Brad, who are you going with here at Darlington?
Well, at Darlington, I think I'm going to have to settle in with Brad K if he's still available.
Keselowski at this point is available, so we'll lock Brad in for Brad Keselowski at Darlington. Pretty good pick there.
Yeah, I don't think you can really go wrong with the Penske boys right now, as they seem to be on the proverbial hot streak.
I think you're also probably going for those knockout qualifying points.
It's tough sitting back here at the back of the pack, but, like we said, it's a long season, and like my boy Smoke this week, just takes a little bit of warming up to do, and once you get the train rolling, it's hard to get it stopped.
All right, man. Well, good luck to you with your pick out at Darlington. Thanks for joining us on the line.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good night.
All right, bud. Well, that was Brad's pick with Brad Keselowski. And now we'll go to Clint, who won this week, and we'll get his pick here for the Southern 500.
All right. Well, I've been sitting here, and I've been deep in thought of who I was going to take, and I didn't want to go with Brad. He tends to go fast on pit road. So what better way to throw away a race and speed down pit road with 2 laps to go? Boom, confetti. I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth.
Going with Matt Kenseth to win the Bojangles Southern 500. How do you feel about that pick?
I'm very confident in that pick.
Why do you go with Matt Kenseth?
Well, Matt seems to be a guy who always hangs around the top 10. The lady in black, you got to have patience. You got to race the racetrack. Matt Kenseth, I've always joked about him being like a robot. He's smooth. He doesn't make things happen too much. So I expect him to be up there in his Joe Gibbs Home Depot Toyota.
All right, very good. Those are our NASCAR picks for Darlington. Clint, coming up this week, Canandaigua has canceled their season opener, but they are running practice Saturday from 4 to 7 out there at the Land of Legends. Woodhall Raceway getting ready to kick their season off. 5 Mile Point will be in action this Saturday night. What are you looking forward to, as these tracks start to get their season kicked off here?
Obviously, just like everybody else, I'm looking forward to Yates County Raceway. But
Yates County Speedway.
My bad. Yates County Speedway. Caitlin, she wants to go to Canandaigua. We'll make a few trips up there. And obviously I'll travel to Woodhall with the BRP series, helping Jared Hill out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and you and I, we're going to hit somewhere else because we just had too much fun not to.
We did. We had a lot of fun covering the Hard Clay Open. Want to give one more thank you to Brett Deo and all his staff there at the Short Track Super Series.
It was so nice to walk up and give them their name and be on the list.
It was. Everything was great. We thank Brett for all the accommodations he made for us to come out there and cover their event. And sounds like I need to go downstairs and see what Belnado is tearing up down there.
Well, it's not my feet.
She's quite a guard dog, I'll tell you. All 4.4 pounds of her. This is a Turn 5 podcast. We thank you for listening in, and we will be back next week with a lot more coverage here of local short track racing.
You're listening
to Turn 5.